when you've said you've read the Quran dozens of times, you've studied it, you've written about it. What is your biggest challenge and differences with the religion of Islam?
Well, probably the main thing is the sanctification of violence and the idea that God will bless and even calls upon the believers to commit acts of violence under certain circumstances. Like Rachid here is an ex-Muslim, and so under Islamic law, as it's traditionally and classically formulated, he would be put to death.
Yeah, so I would ask Robert a very simple question that I think gets at what the real issue actually is. Do you believe that it's inherently immoral for an apostate to be put to death?
Do I believe that it's inherently immoral for an apostate to be put to death? Is it inherently immoral? Well, I know this is some kind of trap, but in any case,
no, I'm just looking for honesty on your part. That's all.
You can always have honesty on my part. Everything I tell you is the truth.
Okay, so
and the fact is that I don't know. I tell you the truth. I haven't thought about it.
Okay, you haven't thought about it. Well, you're writing all of these books on Islam talking about
criticizing
apostasy,
Islam?
Right?
And you don't even know if this is inherently immoral. That's quite shocking, Robert.
I would say that I don't think that it's moral to put the apostate to death.
So it's immoral.
As it comes to my books about Islam, I'm just reporting on what Islamic clerics and the Islamic tradition teaches about passages like when Muhammad says, if somebody changes his religion, kill him.
So is it inherently immoral, yes or no?
Can I answer that?
It is.
It is.
So when Deuteronomy, since you like to quote the Quran, when the Bible says this in Deuteronomy 13:6, if your brother, the son of your mother, your son of your daughter, the wife of your bosom, or your friend, who as your own soul secretly entices you, saying, quote, let us go and serve other gods, which you have not known, neither you nor your fathers, of the gods of the people which are all around you, near to you or far from you, from one end of the earth to the other end of the earth, you shall not consent to him or listen to him, nor shall your eye pity him, nor shall you spare him or conceal him, but you shall surely kill him. Your hand shall be first against him to put him to death, and afterward the hand of all the people, and you shall stone him with stones until he dies, because he sought to entice you away from the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. So all Israel shall hear and fear, and not again do such wickedness as this among you. So let me finish. Let me comment on the passage. So when your loving God, Jesus Christ, who you believe is God, who revealed the Old Testament and revealed this as a law for the people, and you said that it's inherently immoral for the punishment of apostasy to be death, then you are charging your own God and supposedly loving Jesus with immorality.
Not
sir.
at all.
If you don't see that contradiction and hypocrisy,
it's not in the least.
Can't really do much for you.
Well, it's not in the least contradictory or hypocritical, because that is God actually ordering something directly.
Was God wrong for that?
Now, the question here is whether the Muslims, when they put people to death for apostasy today, are likewise authorized by God in some direct manner. Now, obviously,
that's what matters.
Yes, the question is...
Then it's not inherently immoral. It just matters what is the correct religion and whether or not God is actually revealing it.
Yeah, if you study the Old Testament, you will actually find that there's a great deal of discussion about passages like that.
You have two options. If you condemn it as inherently immoral, then the whole Bible's gone. Because if you believe that those verses in the Bible were revealed by God, then you're saying that God is immoral. And on the other hand, if you say that it's not inherently immoral, but God changed the law at this time, then most of your arguments lose the force that they have against Islam, because you can no longer argue that it is inherently immoral to punish an apostate by death and all of the other things that you want to tack on. This is why it's so important. It's not a fallacious argument, and the reality is we want to stick to our text and our tradition, and for the most part, we would argue that the Christians have abandoned them in favor of secular, liberal moral ideologies.
Yeah, killing babies is bad, Jake. Yes.
Is it inherently immoral?
Yeah.
So why did your God order
Why did Jesus order it?
Why did
No,
your
see,
God Jesus
the problem
command?
you have.
Why did your God
The problem
Jesus
you have once
command
again,
the killing of infants?
if you'll let me answer, the problem that you have once again is that you're reading the Bible as if it were the Quran. And see, these things actually trouble Jews and Christians. There's no reason to cover up that fact that these passages have caused difficulty for Jews and Christians throughout history. And some people would say, actually, these things never happened at all. That they were they were fables designed to teach.
Do you believe
that they were fables designed to teach that you are to be completely pure and reject sin? Well, I know this is some kind of trap. So, yeah, I don't know. I tell you the truth, I haven't thought about it.
So is it inherently immoral, yes or no?
Can I answer that?
It is.
It is.
Do you believe that?
They were fables.
What is happening to you? Why is the Spirit deserting people?
And then God legislates the killing of apostates, then you're saying that God is inherently evil. See, this is the mistake of not knowing your Old Testament.
You see, that was the point where Robert kind of got off, because he was trying.
He said it wasn't moral. This is where he dropped the ball. So that's Robert Spencer dropped the ball because he answered presumptuously. He answered quickly instead of thinking about the Old Testament. This is the problem with many of these apologists. They're not trained in the Old Testament. And they think they can simply ignore the Old Testament. The Muslims are not going to ignore the Old Testament. You with me there?
Yes.
So if you're going to deal with Islam and jihad, you better know your Old Testament.
Yeah. And
Christians, you can't bring up jihad if you don't know your Old Testament and the wars and have a good excuse that's consistent and not inconsistent and hypocritical.
Yeah.
Fables.
This is what happens. Allah describes it to us in the Holy Quran. When truth is hurled against falsehood, it knocks out its brains.
Cowabunga.
وأوحينا إلى موسى أن ألق عصاك فإذا هي تلقف ما يأفكون فوقع الحق وبطل ما كانوا يعملون فغلبوا هنالك وانقلبوا صاغرين وألقي السحرة ساجدين قالوا آمنا برب العالمين رب موسى وهارون